Welcome to the Inner Scoreboard, where performance, identity, and mental health meet. On this episode, I'm hosting my first guest, but he's not really a guest. I'm sitting down with Coach Steve Tully, someone who was in it with me all season. Together, along with Trevor, Renee, and our manager Jess, we coached a U14A hockey team, and this conversation is a real look behind the bench. This isn't a highlight reel. We're not just talking about wins and losses. We're getting into the reality of coaching 13-year-olds. The confidence swings, the ego, the pressure, the parent dynamics, and the challenges of trying to develop both players and people at the same time. We'll talk about what worked, where we struggled, and what we would do differently if we had the season back. If you're a coach, a parent, or an athlete, this is a chance to hear what's actually going on beneath the surface, on the ice, on the bench, and in the minds of young players. Let's get started. So when I sent this stuff out, I was talking to you, or my thought was like reviewing the season kind of like right from the start, right from tryouts until how we wrapped up, and just thoughts about how, like, what are the things we did well? What are the things we could improve upon? Any like big insights that we had along the way. For you, what like expectations at the beginning of the season, like going into tryouts, and then once you guys landed on the team, like what were your expectations and your thoughts at that time?
I looked at what we had, and I thought, wow, we're a lot more talented than we have been the last year, because there's a lot of change from year to year. But last year we had a team that was a little bit down low on talent, and I thought, oh, this is going to be nice. We had trouble scoring last year,
Right.
and it looks like we've got some scoring back. That didn't materialize right away.
I can still remember at the beginning of the season how much it started with you carving Trevor about, like, it was the defense that were doing all the scoring in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think I remember thinking back, and I'm like, dude, we've scored 25 goals and 22 of them have come from the D. At what point, Trevor, are you going to teach these guys up there how to score a goal? I can't keep carrying you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought, we would have a lot more talent, and we did. I think we had. I didn't expect the individuality that we had from player to player in terms of all of these kids that came in from somewhere else. I
Yeah.
think we're just used to being a one-man show.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect that, but maybe that's a lesson for the next time, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was like my expectation, because it was first year of open borders. So I thought we were just going to be a juggernaut going through all the teams because of, all the kids from the county kind of coming to play with us. So I remember saying to Todd at the beginning, like in tryouts, he was wearing an OMHA hat from when he had gone to OMHAs in the past. And I remember saying to him, "Hey, you got room in your budget for another one of those?" Like I thought we were just going to run the gauntlet and go right to OMHAs without any hesitation or any problem at all. That's kind of where I was.
Why did you think that other centers weren't going to benefit from that as well?
So I thought geography, right? Because I thought the teams kind of down that 401 corridor, they wouldn't be
I guess we're
pulling.
kind of isolated where we are, right?
Yeah, we're north, right? So we could pull from some of those smaller centers that are around us. I thought it would really help us. I thought it would really help Kingston, which maybe it did, because they won the Lakeshore. But Belleville, Quinte West, I thought it would help those teams kind of on the outside of the border, but the ones in Durham, kind of close to that GTA loop, I actually thought open borders would hurt them because they're so close to GTA that the really good kids from there in the higher age groups would go into the city, and then the single A kids would move up to double A. So I expected those centers to go down a lot more.
Yeah, it was such a crapshoot with the way things rolled out like that. Nobody knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And then we had like 60 kids at tryout.
Yeah, so by the time single A tryouts started last year, I think there was 55 skaters and 9 or 11 goalies, which is the most that there's ever
That's
been
enormous.
at
Yeah.
this age group for single A.
Yeah. That's an enormous number.
Yeah. And it's funny because I had those high expectations at the tryouts in the spring. And then once we hit our first tournament, when we did the preseason tournament, that was the eye opener for me because we did not win that. We did not have a great tournament. And I mean, we had fun, but I don't think we won many games. And that's when I was like, oh, right, other teams have leveled up as well.
Yeah.
That was the first real eye opener for me.
So obviously being at this level for what, 4 years, I got a pretty good feel for how things have rolled out. And the one thing I will say that I noticed is the teams that had that top one or two talent that were probably not meant to be at A hockey generally were gone. You still got stragglers, you still
Yeah,
got kids who were missed here and there. And then those bottom two or three players on each team, for the most part, they were gone.
yeah,
Um, no, in some cases, you just bring in other players that don't make a difference either. But
yeah,
you
yeah.
lost, so you kind of leveled the playing field in terms of that middle of the line player became more common. The elite
Hmm.
guys were moved up to a different center because if it was a political thing, you didn't make double A at your own center, you could go to a double A center
Somewhere
down
else.
the road. And if
Yeah.
you were good enough, someone's going to take you. And we did see that move up, right?
Yeah, I think the whole single A caliber, I think teams were much more even, and I think the whole single A caliber elevated. Like
Yeah.
every team in the league elevated, and I think that all the team players on each team and all of the teams were much more evenly matched as compared to some other years, right? I don't, there were some teams that maybe didn't benefit from open borders and still really struggled. But I think overall things were pretty even. Like even we talk about Kingston and the season that they had, but you pointed it out a bunch of times. Like most of their wins, 1 goal games, maybe some 2 goal games, but nobody was getting blown out. They just found a way to win by a goal on a regular basis.
Yeah, they found a way to stay on the right side of those tight games,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, not
Hey,
good
you
for
know what?
us.
They didn't do a damn thing to win that last game. We did that to ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
It is what it is. That's a bunch of 13 and 14-year-old kids playing
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah, for sure.
Disappointing as it is, I mean, that game we could have played that game 3 weeks earlier and we missed all of the playoffs. Was just one game, right? So
Yeah, yeah. It reminded me of like how we were playing kind of in December. And like we were on a losing streak right going into Christmas and just didn't have the jump, didn't have connection. And that's kind of what that game reminded me of. We were just all over the place.
yeah, and
Yeah.
not the right areas, not the right speed, not the right time to make a play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And when
exactly.
the game before that, we played so well.
Yeah,
So
oh yeah, absolutely.
like we had, if we played 10 games, we had two stinkers in the last of our last 10 games. So
Yeah. Well, we
hey,
had so coming out of Christmas, so before Christmas we were ninth place, eighth or ninth. And then we came out of Christmas and we had a run until the playoffs. And we had 7 wins, 1 loss, the last game of the regular season, and 3 ties. So I mean, like we had a good stretch going into playoffs, and then playoffs we had a winning record as well that kind of kept us going.
well, we never lost. Like you're just talking about league games, but we never
Right,
lost a game period until we lost in the finals of our own tournament.
right,
We went through January undefeated. We went
yeah,
through a good chunk of February the same, right? So, but there was definitely a turning point there because I think that we had a lot of kids in the room that were sick of losing and they just needed to find a way. The break
What,
was good.
yeah, what do you think was the turning point? Because even when because when we were debriefing at the end of the last game, and you had even said, before Christmas, if someone had told me we were going to be in the final game of the Lakeshore Finals, I wouldn't have believed it, or something to that effect. Like, what do you think? Because the team wasn't as bonded before Christmas. What do you think was the shift? Was it just the break, or was there something else?
Um, I think if you ask Trevor, he was there in between. We played at Healthy Planet, and we had a stinker of a couple of periods and came back and won the game in the third. And I think you had a disappointment feeling to the talk that you gave the kids
Between periods or after?
periods,
Okay.
and then you left. But I stayed and Trevor stayed. And that would be the one time this year that I've just lost my cool in terms of there's nothing positive here. And I kind of blasted the kids about their effort and their, um, I was a lot of asking them like, what your talent level's here, but you're playing so far below that.
Yeah.
Individually you're so good, but I know that talk shook a lot of heads, or that exchange turned a lot of heads in that room.
Hmm.
But I think honestly, it's just the whole like it took them so long to learn how to compete at this level. We had, the guys that were there last year were there, but that was 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah.
And we needed, 10 more guys to get on that bus. And up until that point, we had, players, this guy's going too hard on me in practice. And this guy, it's like, you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
had that, but you bring in a bunch of kids who have been the star on their B team with 80% effort, and they weren't successful at this thing. How many players did we have that were the best goal scorer in the league wherever they played last year and came here this year and we're 10, 12 games in and they have one goal?
Yeah. That was
So
something, and you talk about kind of that work ethic. Like there was a lot of kids that you could tell that were rock stars in the past, and whatever team they played on, but based purely on talent. And I noticed that it took a while for people to really kind of understand the message that we had, which was we we wanted to be known as a hardworking team. And I think that's the reputation of this age group in previous years was that you said it earlier, right? It might not have the most talent on the team, but no one's going to outwork us. And this year, I think we kind of started off with we don't have the best work ethic on the team, but we've got the most talent. And it took us a while to really get everyone to have jump in their game and to have that strong work ethic.
yeah, and it's hard to get it across to some of the kids because they've never seen it before. So you talk about it, you talk about it, you talk about it, but you know, we weren't asking kids to go out and just come out of the gate like a rocket and you're 1,000 miles an hour for 15 seconds and then you enter the gate into the bench the same way. So I think
Right.
a lot of it is learning that, hey, this is when I need to go hard. This is, you know, it's not just about going hard when the puck's on my stick. It's not just about going hard when I'm the one guy forechecking, like you've got to go hard to get to your spot where you're supposed to be in terms
Hmm.
of defensive coverage or whatever. And then you can kind of relax and, being first on pucks and, being willing to take a little bit of a lick to make a play. Those are all part of, team first and working hard. And it took a long few months and a whole bunch of losses in a row until I think some of the kids are like, maybe we should
There's something to this.
guys and listen to our player leadership group who've been here, done that, and I mean, they've at some point they've got to trust in the coaching staff, and I think it just took till after Christmas until they were hurting enough to make the change themselves.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's what
I'd
we
agree
can
with
do as
that.
a coaching staff is just keep putting it in front of them and putting it, this is the good. This is what we want. This is what you're doing. This is what we can't have. This is what leads to that. This is why we're in between the second and third period down 3 goals and I'm yelling. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't happen very often, but like this is what it's led to.
Well, and that's it, right? Like we didn't have a lot of times when we kind of exploded on them. I think overall we had a pretty calm delivery of things. I don't think I can remember a single. So now you're telling me about the one where I said something and I left the change room. And then, but I can't think of another time that you kind of exploded on the group. I can think of a couple of times that I did, and trying to use that strategically, right? I didn't want to be someone who was screaming all
Well,
the
if you do
time,
it
and
once a week, it's
then
not going to be
they don't
effective.
hear it anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of keep those in my toolkit to use as needed. And it's funny because I would help other teams and their coaches. They'd go out and they'd spin a gear between periods. And the kids just, when they hear it all the time, they're just like, oh, here they go again.
Yeah.
And
This
for
is what
me,
happens in the second and third period when we're
yeah,
losing
man.
every time. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
And
that's
I wanted it
can't
to
be like
be impactful, right? Because it has to be like, oh shit, like Brownie doesn't usually spin out like this. He's usually pretty calm in the change room. So something's up and maybe we need to make an adjustment. So that was kind of the approach I would take, or I tried to take. Um, yeah, so I think that's one area that I think we did a good job on, not being yelly coaches.
yeah, I think if you're 95% of the time you're calm and collected, then that 5% when you need it, it's effective. But as soon as that starts to skew too much the other way, now they don't want to listen to you when you're coaching and they just tune you out when you're upset and you're trying to motivate that way. So yeah, I think we did a good job of like as far as passionate as we are and as competitive as we were as a coaching staff, like
There's nobody that hates losing more than you and me. I
yeah,
would put money on that.
yeah, I don't and I don't like losing because somebody outworked us and there wasn't too many teams we faced this year where I'm like, these guys are just better than us.
Yeah, yeah.
It did happen a couple of times, but
But the
not in our
crazy
league.
thing is, in those games, like we can think of two teams, right? The different tournaments, and those were some of the we lost those games, but some of the best hockey that we played. Like the compete was relentless from our team, and maybe we just couldn't keep that pace for the whole game. But when they really stepped up to compete, it was like, holy cow, what is going on now? It was so exciting to be a part of those games.
Well, those games too were I call it real hockey because a lot of what we play all season long is it's a lot of individual skills. Um, but when you watch real hockey or higher level hockey, those skills aren't on display every shift. It's a simple game.
Yeah,
It's a pucks in deep. It's a get there first. It's a grind it out. It's throwing pucks on net. It's doing the simple things. It's playing defense first.
yeah,
That's real hockey. You watch playoff hockey at the OHL, the NHL, any high level hockey. That's what wins games. And when we got into those games where we were a little bit outmatched skill wise or skill and size wise, which only happened a couple of times,
right.
we were fortunate enough to not go out and try and play a run and gun style with a team like that because we didn't have it. We got a line of 5 guys that can play with that team.
Yeah,
We didn't have the depth to roll 3 lines that can play like that, and
right.
some of those teams did, right? So, I thought we played well. Those are the closest we came to real hockey games. We lost them both.
Yeah, yeah, but great games, and I think even
Super exciting.
being in the change room after, and because we were talking in the finals of a tournament, and the kids are all down because they're wearing a silver. I always kind of joke that silver medal is the worst medal to win because you win
You
it with a
lose it.
lose,
Yeah.
right? And you're always happier to win a bronze, but they're in the change room with a silver and they're disappointed. And I remember going in like in the Peterborough tournament and just being so proud of that group for how much they competed. We're down 2-0 to a team that's, 40 spots ahead of us in the province. And then we battle and score with a minute left to get it that close. Like, to me, I was so proud. That was
And
so
then the pressure
impressive.
for another minute too. Like that was
Yeah.
exciting right to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. That was probably one of the most exciting games of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And the crowd didn't hurt either.
Yeah, that's true. We did have home ice, right?
We had home ice, and I think everybody invited everybody to come watch that game. And then the arena was just packed in general to see a final game that was that tight. I mean, it's the smallest rink in town, but it's also the loudest rink when you pile the people into it.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of excitement there.
Yeah. That was a great experience.
Yeah, we had
Uh,
a few of those good ones. A few of
yeah.
them.
Not so much.
We we had our moments on both sides.
I'm curious from you, like in terms of bench staff. So like you've been with the team since day one, right? So I had it for in the early year, the first year, and then Horsey had it for 3 years, and then now this year I'm back. I'm curious, so you've experienced different coaching styles. I think I've my coaching style has adjusted a little bit since how I coached, 4 and 5 years ago. But I'm curious for you, like, did you feel that the bench staff was aligned, or like, how did you find that interaction as a group?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think we were aligned. Um, this was, the first year in 3 years where I'm walking into a bench staff, and even though Trevor and Renee are coming back with new leadership, you're like, how is this gonna go?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Uh, I'm fortunate to be enough of the type of person to try to look for the positive of most things before I get into it. Um, so that was new, just kind of trying to figure out what my role was going to be in terms of um, running practice, or I guess a lot of is the way the kids are spoke to in the change room. Um, Everyone's got a different role.
right.
Some of our coaching styles overlap that way.
Hmm.
So I coached differently this year than I have in the past. Um, yeah, so you're just trying to find your role, find out how it fits, how you mesh with. I know Trevor, what he's going to or not going to say in a dressing room when he wants to and doesn't want to speak. Same with Renee. There are times when he's going to say something, but most times he's
Most of the
not
time, he's
going to say
quiet.
something.
Yeah.
And it's I had the same head coach the 3 years prior. I knew what what his approach was going to be post game, whether we won or we lost or how it went down. I knew how he felt, and um, so much of being, I think, assistant coach is like you're you just find what the head coach wants to do, what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, and you just fill that void. So
Right.
wherever that void is, you try to fill that void. And that's how I approach it anyway. So I
Yeah.
mean, the last few years I spent a lot of time talking with the kids about heart, talking with the kids about grit and being proud to play where you are, and just wearing that Pete's jersey.
Right.
Uh, like a lot of time with that. I spent a lot of time um, just developing that culture in the dressing room um, in a different way than Steve did.
Hmm.
So you guys are, like I say, we kind of overlap a little bit because you talk to the kids in that manner as well. So I didn't as much this year as I have in the past. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's coming into a new group. It's again, you're trying to find your way. I know how I am. I know how I like to coach. Now, what's the best way to get that out without not necessarily stepping on someone's toes, but without not repeating something that was just said, or not trying to say something differently, even, say the same thing differently. You're just
Right.
trying to find that way to contribute under a different leadership style.
Yeah, that's cool. It was interesting for me because um, of knowing that relationship already existed, and you guys were all were on the bench last year, and in some ways I kind of felt like the new guy coming in, even though I've known you guys for years and been connected with the team in different ways, even as a fan. But sometimes for me, coming in early on, I felt like I needed to own the team. Like this is going to be like I'm the head coach and I have to own that. But then there were also
That's why they
aspects.
never see an assistant coach's name in the paper, pal.
I know, right? So I felt like I had to do that because my name's you win. Okay, that's us. Like we give us all the credit. But if it goes bad, like it's my head on the block, right? But at the same time, I was nervous about kind of coming into the group as the new kid again. And yeah, so that was a learning piece for me and kind of just getting comfortable again with the group.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. Like everyone's walking into a new situation. Yours being, we're just adjusting to one new leader, and you're kind of sitting back and watching three guys who've been here, and I can only imagine the thoughts going through your head
Well,
when
the
you're.
worry is that also is like this, like the team did well in the past, right? The last few years, you won a Lakeshore Championship. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So then I come in and there's part of me is like, okay, there's going to be some adjustments, but I'm also, do you come up against, well, this is the way we've done it and it's worked. So I wasn't sure what the push pull was going to be like with the group, right? So, and also I think you and we've known each other long enough and have, as much as we're both really strong personalities, I think there's enough respect that even then we could say, like, let's have a conversation and sort it out. But still, I was nervous about what the dynamic was going to be like.
Yeah, I think it all fell into place, but I think it always does when you've got good people with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get good results. And it takes a little bit of feeling out time and time to feel comfortable with everybody. And, I'm trying to read you to how you're going to react and seeing what you're saying and how you're addressing the kids. And I'm sure you're doing the same with the other
Mm-hmm.
three of us on staff. So yeah, it can be a lot, but again, I think it comes back to good people, good intentions, good hockey minds, right? Guys that, I've played on teams where the coaches coached a certain way, and then you play the next year and it's a new coach and it's got a completely different philosophy. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I've got to make an adjustment. So I'm ready for that. And the, you can make all the plans that you want. If you're 10 games in and nothing's working, it's time to sit down and be like, okay, like what can we do? And I mean, we had those moments this year, like
Yeah.
multiple.
Yeah. And I think that's something, if we fast forward through the season a bit, so there was that nervousness from both of us or the whole staff at the start. But I think as things went on, like we did a really good job of talking about practices, like, hey, what are we going to work on at practice tomorrow? Here are some of my ideas. Here, you'd say what your ideas are. We'd kind of develop that practice plan and kind of get a bit of an idea of where we were heading with things. And then if something wasn't working, we'd change it up. So I think the communication was really good in that respect, of kind of the program evolving as the year went on.
Yeah, and I mean, so many different things. I mean, where we started with our roster and where we ended up, like you've got a vision. You picked your team. You've got a vision of where this is all going to fit.
Yeah.
But like you can only ram the key into the wrong lock so many times, and it's like, okay, like four of us need to talk this out here,
Yeah.
So it's good to have four. Like, I mean, you got people who care, not just about the team, but about the kids individually. You know, we're all parents at the same time as we're coaches. It's a constant balancing act. And I mean, we moved kids. I mean, we didn't put anybody new in net, but we had we had guys playing forward, we had guys playing D, we had guys going up and back. We moved one guy at a time, we moved three guys at a time. Like,
Yeah, it's funny because, and I think that came about because of injuries, because we're like, well, we're down to 3D. We need someone to go back. Um, I'm curious, like with injuries and stuff like that, with rosters, like, do you think, I went with 15 skaters. So I mean, I picked the team on my own last year. I think this year, and I had tons of evaluators. But I think I'll approach it differently in these tryouts, have someone kind of connected with the team help me. So like if you're coming to single A, I would ask you, no pressure, but to help pick that team.
can't put too
Um,
many good minds together and have a bad result.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, in the end, I can tell you exactly what I think, but I mean, you're the one at home at night putting the numbers in the computer.
yeah, yeah. But
It's your
I'm
name in
curious.
the paper.
Thanks for the support. But I'm curious from your perspective. So last year, so I went with 15 skaters, two goalies. Would you have gone with 15 skaters and two goalies? So if let's go two steps on this. So one, last April, what would your decision have been? And then fast forward to February, March, what would your answer be?
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase that. Because in April, I would have said we should have taken more skaters.
Oh yeah?
Or sorry, at the beginning of the year, I would have said we should have taken more skaters. At
Right.
the end of the year, I'm like, no, it's sometimes it's an advantage to be able to just be like, oh, we've only got five back here.
Right.
I can strategically place players where I need them without taking ice time away from somebody,
Right.
which
Right.
was nice. There were times in the middle of the year, the beginning of the year, like because we never had a full roster, it seemed like almost ever,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh yeah, like it'd be nice to have another body here. Somebody's, there's always somebody away at practice. It'd be nice to have a body there to fill in as well. But I flip flop back and forth on that so many times. There's positives to both sides of it. That's a really tough call. I wish I could just be like, no, 100%. I would,
Yeah.
not take a skater, or I would take an extra skater. It's like, what do you? I mean, maybe it's just my luck, but like, if you take an extra guy, we will never have a suspension. We will never have anybody away, anybody sick.
We'll be
We will
running
have
16 every time.
all the time.
It's funny
If we don't,
because
we'll have three guys out.
yeah, I talked to the coach who had 15A last year, so the year older than us. And so I'm leaning towards these tryouts going with 16 skaters. And he said pick 10D, sorry, not 10D, 10 forwards, 7D. He said take an extra in the front and the back. And my mind was a bit blown by that because of that's that many more people. What's really interesting though, when I think about it, like how do you manage that if you actually have a full roster? Because I was really fortunate last year to have you as an assistant coach, but in particular because you like you have tremendous knowledge for running the D. So I was able to just kind of say, do your thing, and we'll chat at the end of the game kind of thing. And sometimes we chat before and I'd say, yeah, I'm not sure about this, and you're like, well, no. This is
I've
why
spent
I
30 hours agonizing over this.
I have watched last game 4 times and I have notes. But you'd be like, this is why I'm doing this thing. I'd be like, okay, because I trust you, right? As that D coach. Um, but it was really cool because when we were short and then we ran a certain way and then we had a full roster, you were able to kind of adjust playing time that way, which still benefited the team. So I do still go back and forth about what to do these tryouts, but by the end of the season, I was kind of like, yeah, I wish we had an extra person.
See, that was the opposite,
Yeah, interesting.
but only because I think we spent 7 months developing, and you get to those final 3 weeks, and you are what you are at that point.
Hmm.
And then, you got to make a decision. It's like, am I just opening the door and letting the next two guys out? Or are we trying to put our best foot forward here um, without benching anybody? And
Right.
I think we did a good job of that. And I think we were pretty clear on that at the beginning of the season, too, with the kids, with the parents, with ourselves. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't care if we lose a game in November because I got the wrong, my two not strongest D out for the last minute.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be out there now because I might need you to go out there in February and you need to be fine doing that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we ran into that. We ran into that in tournaments, you know, we ran into that in playoffs, but I think we did a good job of getting everybody ice time, getting everybody into every type of situation. And it wasn't till, into the playoffs or a couple of half periods here or there in
Hmm.
important tournament games that we ever shortened a bench. And I mean, we've watched teams at this level where there's guys that do not play in the third period, and we never went that route. And I never want to go that route. Like,
It's
that is
interest. It was
awful.
tough for me. Yeah, it is hard, and I battle with that sometimes because I want to win, right? I am just like an ultra competitor, and I want the kids to have fun. I want them to leave having enjoyed the experience of being in that game and being coached by us. And it was hard for me to wrap my brain around being in the playoffs and saying, yeah, we've got to this player is not they're not getting it done today, so they need to miss a shift, or having to talk to the same player over and over and over again about the same mistake. And it's like, we can't trust you to go out for that next shift because this is a high pressure moment and we need specific people. So that was a bit tougher for me to make that, or to bring those two worlds together, of one, like, I'm the ultra competitor and want to win, and feelings, right? So that was a challenge for me, because, and in the playoffs, I had you, I had Trev, I had Renee to kind of bounce ideas off and talk that through. But I think we balanced that pretty well in the playoffs, and of course we were more strategic as we got deeper. But that was a tough thing for me to kind of work through.
I think if you weren't a coach that struggled with that, then you're not there for the right reasons. You're not doing
Yeah.
this right. Like, this isn't the OHL. This isn't some AAA U16 draft year at the tournament showcase. Like, this is not that. But at the same time, where else in life these days, because it certainly isn't happening in schools,
Right.
where do they learn these skills that, hey, there's consequences to this? And if I don't give it my 100%, then I need to know that I don't deserve to be out there every other shift.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, where else did I get that learn? I mean, you can't do it obviously 9 months of the year. That's the wrong way to do it. But
Yeah.
we never sat anybody who wasn't talked to for months on end. And when they sat, it was for the same thing that we talked to them for months and months and months.
Hmm.
And they sat in important moments for the team. Nobody sat for doing that stuff in a 5-1 game.
Right. Yeah. And I
You know what I
think
mean?
that's important context, right? It
Yep.
wasn't a just because thing. It's like, we're down by a goal. or we're tied or just up by a goal. It's an important game. It's the last 3-5 minutes.
And I think the important thing too is it wasn't a surprise.
Right.
It wasn't a surprise to the players. It wasn't a surprise to the parents. We had spoken to the parents multiple times throughout the year as a coaching staff and what our philosophy was. I mean, some of the parent and the players is what led to actually turning around and making a power play, which in turn has kids miss time.
You know what's funny? I literally just wrote on my notes feedback because I think that's one thing we did really well this year was we asked for feedback, but strategically just from the players. We never asked for feedback from the parents throughout the season. They offered it and it was generally positive, but I think asking the players because they're 13-year-olds at that time, what do you think the coaching staff is doing well, and what do you think the coaching staff needs to improve upon? And early in the year, we were talking about leadership, who the players thought should be the leaders. I had a parent reach out to me saying, well, maybe they could do like an anonymous note. And I said, no, that's not what we're trying to develop here. We want the players to own it. So we went around
they
the
need to
room.
own this team. It's their team.
Yeah, like we were in the tournament and we said, like, who do you guys should be on the leadership team? And you have to explain why. So they had to own it. And I thought that was really important for them to be able to kind of start learning that skill of sharing their voice. And even with the feedback, like you said, it was the players who said, we should have power play 1, power play 2, penalty kill 1, penalty kill 2. And for me, my philosophy for U14A was we roll lines, everyone in every situation. And it was the players that came back and they're like, nope, we want it to be specific. We talked to them and said, just so you
This
know,
is what this means.
some people are not going to get to go with this. And it was interesting because it was my own kid in a private conversation. He's one of the ones who said that. And his response was, I know I'm not going to be on any of these lines, but I think we should have them. And I disagreed with his assessment because I talked to him about, I actually thought he did quite well on penalty kill. But it was the players who made that decision about the power play 1. And that turned out to be incredibly effective for us as the season went on.
Yeah, and instantly.
Yeah.
Like game 1 of putting that together, it's like, oh, our power play just got us 3 goals today. Yeah, it's always a tough one to wrap your head around as a coach, because you got to be careful that power play 1 goes out and then you don't have a kid that's now sat 3 shifts in a row. Power play 1 goes out and then PP2, which is generally just the line behind it for the most part.
Right.
And 2 guys are on a line from power play 1. Well, they're going out next, and you look down the bench and little Timmy's been sitting there for 4 minutes now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a
And
tight
I think
one
that,
to watch. I mean, I think the players want it because if you're competitive, you want to win.
yeah.
And deep down that this is what gives you the best chance to win, even if you're not one on it, right?
Yeah, and I think that did happen a couple of times where players, because either we got into penalty trouble or which happened a lot early in the season, but then or we end up with power plays that I think it happened a couple of times, but it certainly was not a pattern for us. I think that we did a really good job of making sure that people did get out on a regular basis. Interesting thing. So at the end of the season, I asked players for feedback again about what's something Coach Paul did well, what's something Coach Paul needs to work on for next season. And I only received 2. And the one was I need to shorten the bench more, right? As opposed to rolling the lines as much as we did. And the other one was music in the change room before games. That was the only feedback for things I need to improve upon for next season. So I think we're doing okay.
There's worse things to complain about, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that was one thing that I kind of was hard about was the music in the change room. What are your thoughts on the music in the change room before games?
Yeah, it's tough, eh? Because some of the kids want it, some of the kids don't. Um, I don't mind the way it was. Like, I think the volume level for one, who's choosing it, it can become a distraction.
Hmm.
We don't allow phones in the room. No offense to your music picking abilities, but you don't pick what the kids want to
Yeah,
hear.
I'm not a 14, 13, 14-year-old, right? So I
Exactly.
know that. And I'm like,
Right. So it's tough because they want to play the songs that they know that get them amped up. We don't want them to have a phone in the room. None of us have their music. I mean, I'm sure there's ways around it. For the guys that are kind of that stoic, serious, they don't want the music.
yeah,
We had a few of those guys that were, leaders, and then to
yeah,
their credit, they did come to us and ask for music because the majority of the players wanted it, even though
yeah,
they didn't.
yeah,
So it's always tough. I think everybody can enjoy the music post game. Like I think that win or lose, once the coaches have done talking, playing music to me is after the game is a great thing. You're
yeah.
either getting yourself out of a funk because you didn't have a great game, or you're not feeling great about the way things unfolded,
You
or
could
you're
still leave the
celebrating a
arena in a good
win.
mood. Yeah,
You know what I mean? You can walk it. Nobody like, yeah, I want you to reflect in the game, but I don't want you to walk out of the dressing room with your head hung because
yeah.
that ain't helping anything. Like, go out and hug
It's
your
funny.
mom and shake your dad, shake some hands, and say thank you for coming to the game and be in a good mood, win or lose.
Yeah,
That's You got to go out and thank the people that got you there, that came to watch you. So I like the music post game, before the game. I was never a music guy in terms of in the dressing room, so for me, I'm like, I don't want it. My kid's kind of the same. He doesn't want it.
I was
Um,
always music on the way to the arena. That's when I'd listen to my stuff to kind of get my blood pumping and get me amped up. Once I was at the arena, I never needed anything else. I was like, it's game time. It's time to
yeah,
go. And I was just ready to go. And yeah, so for me, I find it a distraction. I find it a distraction overall because the different players have different choices in music. I find it incredibly disrespectful when the music is cranked in the other rooms to other people at the arena and the other change rooms. So I have a real problem with that. That's just me probably being old. I don't know. Um, so, and the music after the games, we did that. It was supposed to be if they won, but I'd keep forgetting because I just wasn't used to it. So maybe it needs to be something that it's after every game and then it's remembered and
yeah.
on
I
a
think
on a
one of the kids.
device
I
with
mean,
no Wi-Fi or something.
yeah, the kids need to get an iPod that don't have a camera on it. I don't
Yeah.
even know if they make iPods anymore, but you know what I mean. An
You're almost
MP3
as old as
player,
me.
and they can play their music afterwards, kind of thing. And I don't have a problem with that. The other thing is like, it's not just this team. It seems like it's a pattern year to year. The kids that want the music are always the ones that you're like, I wish this kid would just focus more. They would be a better hockey player.
Yeah.
And it's tough, right? And the kids that are like dialed mentally, they don't want the music.
You know,
And there's got to be some correlation there as to like scatterbrain on the ice wants screaming, pounding music before the game. Super focused guy out there doesn't.
yeah.
And everybody after the game, it's like, okay, I get the music post game. I understand that. You certainly don't want kids wearing headphones. That's a problem too, because now you're ignoring the rest of your team. And we had such I don't think the music brings the players together
Hmm.
pregame
Right.
because they play the damn thing so loud that you can't talk to the guy next to you anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think he had the right idea. I mean, we didn't execute on it properly with having their music ready to go on a device that they can control. I
Yeah.
think that's the way to go with it.
So maybe get another device, even if it's a phone that doesn't have data or a plan or anything like that, and the players can load the music onto it, and that's what they
Yeah,
get to listen to post game.
yeah. Because like one, it's not our responsibility. Two, they should have choice on what they want to or don't want to hear.
Hmm.
And if they want it, then they should take ownership of that and put in the work to be able to have that. It's not
Yeah,
on it's not on us. We don't want the damn music. Like
yeah.
I got enough
And I
shit
guess
going.
that's another one of the life lessons that we're talking about. It's like, well, if you want music, here are the parameters. After games, you can have music. The level is got to be, we're not hearing it outside the change room. And as a team, you figure out what device it's going to be played on, and you figure out how to get the music onto that device. Oh, and by the
Yep.
way, none of you are allowed to have your individual cell phones in the room.
Yeah, you need a device that doesn't have a camera on it that plays music, connects to Bluetooth, or
Yeah,
I guess you can record, but
yeah,
like we shouldn't be hauling in a speaker for them. We should like that if that's what you guys want, then
figure it out.
figure it out. It's you got 17 brains in there. I think you should be able to come up with a couple of ideas on how to make this work.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
I get music's so individual. It does different things to different people, but I think there's a time and place for it, and we did okay with that. Just again, it's the type of player that wants the music is so troubling to me sometimes. It's
Hmm.
like music is going to do the exact opposite of what we're asking for.
Well, and it's like, really, that's what you're focused on? You're
Yeah,
focused on, like, think about your performance and how you execute it or how you get ready for game. And I guess if they're asking for the music because it hypes them up. Um, but yeah, it frustrated me. It really frustrated me that one game that we had. And we're in the lead going into the third, and then total collapse. And after the game, the question from the players was, well, hey, maybe if we had music. I couldn't believe that was the question after such a collapse.
yeah. I would say like having like a signature song that you play as you're leaving the dressing room, or a minute before you leave the dressing room, the start of the game or in between periods. I could see how that would be helpful, but getting hyped for 48 minutes in the dressing room before the game, that's not what we need. That's not what nobody can maintain and sustain that
I forget who it
at the last
was.
minute, but
Yeah, I don't know if it was at a coaching clinic or if I was talking with a coach. It was like a high level coach, and what they do is the song "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor."
mhm.
So as they're about to go out onto the ice, that they had TVs in their room, so they'd have that song playing and it'd be cranked, and it'd be a whole bunch of big hits, and mostly from like their team throwing hits to kind of get their team locked in before they went onto the ice. But we don't have TVs in our change rooms, so we can't really do that. But I thought that's a cool way to get hyped up.
Stick figures on the chalkboard. Let me draw this in for you.
Get the whiteboard out and just start drawing. Um, so we'll get close to wrapping up here. I'm curious for you, like if you reflect on yourself as a coach this season, what's one thing that you think that you did well as a coach?
I had perfect attendance.
I can't even say that I had perfect attendance because I missed that one practice where Trevor got injured.
I
But
think I had to miss a practice for a band or something like that for the other kid, but
oh, right.
for the most part, I don't know. I find it so hard to stay away. If there's something going on, I want to be involved. So I don't know. I don't know what I'll do if I have to go back to just being a parent for a year, because
Right.
it's a whole. I've never played that role. Like I've been on
Yeah.
the ice since they were 3 years old, and here we are at 14, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. I
I don't.
found that hard. I found that hard when I wasn't coaching for the couple of years that Liam was away. It was tough, and it was great to just be a parent.
You definitely just watching. I mean, we're in tryout season now, so just watching the kids skate from up there and having the chance to not watch the hockey game and just watch what my kid is doing is a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Like, it allows you, like, you're in the middle of the game and your kid, how was that, Dad?
I didn't
I
see
don't know,
it.
dude. I wasn't watching you. I got 17 things on fire in my brain right now,
Yeah.
and whatever you did wasn't one of them. I'm watching the battle in the corner, and I'm watching a million other things. So that is nice, is being able to see that. But I mean, things I did well this year. I mean, it's, I guess, teaching some of these kids about how hard is hard work.
Right.
How hard do you got to go? How much, I think that's a big thing at this level. I mean, I any level really. I mean, I watched so much AA and AAA games this year, and for me, I see those moments where I'm like, why didn't you just go and do that thing that was hard?
Yeah. An
Do
extra
the hard
stride
thing,
or
making it easier for everybody else. Like, that was a big lesson we had to learn this year, especially with, I'm going to say, culture shock of all these players coming in, shocking that culture that we had built for the last 4 years of
yeah.
this age group. Um, yeah, I think that had, it might not be the thing that I'm most proud of, I guess, but it's certainly, I think, the thing that had the biggest impact on the team is that pride of working hard, the pride of, yeah, I did 4 hard things so that guy over there could score 10 seconds later.
Right.
I think that was the most important lesson that we picked up. And did we have it perfect by the end of the year? Hell no. Was it 250% better than it was in October? I think it was.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I mean, not everybody can be taught how to play a guitar, and not everybody can be taught how to play that type of team athletics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
And I also think like some
required.
players had,
Everybody
yeah, I
can
think,
get better at it, but not everybody's going to do that perfectly,
yeah.
especially not
Yeah.
at 14,
Right.
13, 14.
Totally agree.
I think that had a huge impact for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, I think it would be really pulling in feedback from the players and trying to engage them to take some ownership over the team and some of the decisions of the team, like to hear them, to be able to say like, these are the things that we like, and to be able to implement some of that stuff, but also to be able to say, yeah, some of that stuff's not going to fly. Like they wanted practices to be completely different, but us being able to sit down, like we had not regular, but we had multiple meetings with the players to explain this is why we do certain things, and asking for their input on changes to make. I think that was a positive for the team, so that they could take ownership and feel like they're part of the team and part of just how things roll out.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get the hardest work out of anybody, whether that's athletics or a job, unless that person has ownership in the thing that they're trying to achieve, or, the group they're a part of.
Yeah.
Like, you have to own something at every level of athletics or business or whatever that is. The people that have ownership of what they're doing are always the ones that are going to go the extra mile.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
totally agree.
nobody's going to do something because I said it was the right thing to do, or Coach Paul said I have to do this, so I will never do anything else in my life until I get this. Like, that don't happen unless
Yeah.
it from inside. So so much of coaching is just, helping these kids find what it is that's going to drive them to achieve what they, it's nice to want it, but what are you willing to do to get it?
Yeah.
You know?
There's a sports psychologist out of the UK, and he says he's got 3 questions for his athletes when they come to work for him or want to come for his help. And it's, what do you want? How bad do you want it? And how much are you willing to suffer? So it's exactly what you're saying, right? Like, you can want the thing, but how badly do you want it? What are you prepared to do to achieve those goals?
Oh, I can remember my dad saying to me when I was a kid, like, nothing worth having is easy.
Yeah,
If
100%.
it's easy, it's not really worth having because anybody can do it.
Yeah.
What are you willing to do that the guy beside you is not willing to do to win this game or win your shift or win this battle, whatever it is? I mean, it's, breaking it down to that simplistic level, like, that guy was first in the corner. You were 3 steps ahead. Like, you need to be willing to get there first,
Yeah.
take that extra stride, bring that, whatever that is. So yeah, I don't know. I think at this level, maybe it's an A. I don't know if it's a level. I see the same thing at AAA players a lot of the times. The elite guys are playing that style of I'll do anything, and you've still got guys that are like, yeah, pretty talented. Maybe he'll cough it up to me,
Yeah.
or I'll put the first effort in, but not, you know what I mean? And so you're teaching that to every level. I think it's the most important thing, that in terms of both bringing the team together and getting results out of
Hmm.
games, right? And if you can bring that level of compete to practice, then that's a whole other gear, because then when you get to the game, that's just what you do. If you're doing it in practice 3 times a week, you're not going to not do it in a game.
Right.
But to expect somebody to coast through 3 practices and then go out and battle hard in a game, like, that ain't happening either.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
True
you
enough.
don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your preparedness level here.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no such thing as one player might rise to the occasion, but a team is going to fall to the level of prepared that they have.
Yeah.
That player might have a moment that helps you win the game, but ultimately the team is going to play where they're going to play.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you would change or that you think that you could have done differently this season?
Uh, I think, I mean, one of the thoughts I had um, when we lost that final game, it's probably the one game I didn't go and watch the video of.
Oh,
But
really?
I just had, what's the point? It's X's and O's at that point. Um, yeah. So I think but I do remember thinking, the next day, and I'm like, what could I have done differently to not, I can't go out and score a goal or whatever, but
We are the same height as these players, you and me.
yeah, I can shave. I don't think Preston's jersey is going to fit me.
It doesn't fit him.
No, and I'm a wee bit thicker. But I think, so on reflection of that game, I'm like, when the game's going on in November, it's constant feedback for every player coming off the ice, good and bad.
Yeah.
Every shift, nonstop. I watch a little bit. I miss the first half of the next player's shift. I'm talking. But when it comes down to playoff time, I don't need to tell the kid what he messed up.
Right.
He knows. And so it's like, I'm not talking to you about every mistake you made in February like I was in November.
Right.
You know how I want you to play. You know how you should play. You know how you want to play. So when it doesn't go your way one way or the other, I'm not having that conversation, because it's like, I can't fix anything now. I can be like, hey, like, if you just take another hard stride there, you're there with some positive reinforcement. But I look back at that game and I'm like, what could I have done differently? And I'm like, I wish I had have said more, and not of like, here's what we're doing wrong. There After we get scored on, and it's like, it's okay, we're doing good. There's good things happening back here. We're doing these things. I wish I'd have taken that to like a level double of what I was doing.
I actually have that as my note for what I would improve upon or what I would change.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's like I did praise them, but I'm like, did I do enough to make sure they didn't fall into that 1-goal funk that turns into 2-goal funk that turns into 3-goal funk? And it's like, did I get caught up in the emotion of the game so that I'm not effective enough to do what these kids needed? And I don't know what the answer to that is, but I know if I had to go back and do it again, I would do it differently.
Yeah.
Like, it just would have been more of like, no. I know it's 1-0, but like, forget that. Like, move on. Instead of saying that once, I would have said that for 42 minutes of that 45-minute game. You know what I mean? But you get so wrapped up in the emotions, and it's like, I'm trying not, like, I'm up, I'm down. I'm trying not to project that on the kids. You're trying to stay positive, and then 15 things go wrong in a row, and you're just like, okay, I'm not going to say anything on the bad things, but like, I also probably didn't say enough of the good things in those moments. Even if there was no good things, I should have made shit up and just kept going with it, but I didn't. So that's something that I really reflected on. I'm like, I think that's the one thing I could have done better in that final game, was like helping them not let this thing get away from them like it did.
For me,
4-1 or something like that, or I don't even know.
That was the final. It was, but we have to qualify. There was an empty netter, so it was really 3-1.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we were never in that game.
No.
Like, we dominated the 2 games before that, and we were never in that third game.
Right. The most important one of the season, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I have a similar thing that so my emotions, if we were having like a really bad game, and that game's a prime example where everything was kind of scrambly and all over the place, and we were just dominated in all areas of the ice that game. And I found that I reached a point where I was like, I'm really quiet.
Yeah.
Not because normally, like you said, the kids would come off the ice like, oh, that's a great shift, or hey, next time, make sure you get your head up and look for the pass. Or, hey, take the shot when you're over there. You got to be first to that puck, or that was a really great hit. Whatever the thing is, there's usually some feedback when the players are coming off. And I found that game, and there was other games in the season where we'd fall behind, and it was like whatever the game was kind of a mess, and we were like grossly underperforming. And I realized that in some of those situations, I get really quiet, and it's almost, I don't know if I start feeling defeated already. The game's not over, and I'm just like, oh, screw it, we're going to lose. But that's something that I need to work on for next season, that when we have those difficult games and there is adversity in terms of what the players are doing, that's when, I as a coach have to step up and go, okay, what can I do to at least try to make a correction here?
Yeah. I wanted to say more, but it was finding a way to say more while still not criticizing anything.
Being productive.
Yeah. And like, at that point in my mind, it's like, it's not like, I mean, you just got walked by somebody because your feet weren't moving. We've had this feet moving conversation multiple times. You know it. I know it. when you're coming off, like, I'm not going to say, hey, that happened because you didn't move your feet. I know it, you know it, but I found like in that situation, I'm just like, it's all right, tap on the head, and that was it. And then
Right.
like silence for 30 seconds as you're watching the next shift. And it's like, if I could go back and do it again, I would take those 30 seconds and just go off with construction of, here's things we can try, here's things we can do. It's like, you're doing great, like more, you don't want to blow sunshine up someone's ass, but like,
Right.
that's not what I'm saying. But the quiet moments I did not like.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. The other thing that for me that I would improve upon is in terms of our leadership group. I thought that overall we had the right people in those roles, but I feel a little bit like, and this falls on me, that they got their C, they got their A's, and then we were just kind of like, okay, you guys, you're the leaders. And I feel that maybe we or me could have done a better job of kind of outlining for them, like, these are kind of the expectations. These are like, can we help you have some of the conversations with the team, or outline a little bit more about what their role is and help
Just more
guide them.
support in terms of
Yeah,
leadership.
yeah, and guide them and support them in terms of those roles. So that's something for next season that I want to maybe have some regular meetings with the leadership group to say, hey, like, how are things in the change room? What are people saying? Do we need to make some adjustments? Or, hey, we're going to leave you guys to take the lead on a specific thing, and we'll guide you on how to do that, but it's going to be your thing, whatever it is. That's something that I wish we had taken a bit more time to just guide the leadership group and not leave them to themselves.
I think it's different too with every team, because the team that we had before this one, the leadership group, um, fairly similar, but when they said something, the rest of the team, whether they agreed with it or not, was, this is what was said. This came from our leadership group. That's what we're doing.
This is what's up.
This is how it's going.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, it's like, this is what the leadership group said. Whisper, whisper, whisper to my buddy. I don't know.
Yeah.
You get half them buying in, half them. So like, that is a totally different.
Well, it's a culture difference, right?
It's a culture difference. So
Yeah.
I think that takes some adjustment. I know by the end of the year, or maybe not the end of the year, but that Christmas time in and around there, when people hadn't really bought in, that weighed on those 4 kids
Yeah.
heavy, because we're losing. They're talking. They're not making headway with the kids, with the new kids coming in.
Yeah.
They're not used to that, because they've had such a good buy-in,
Hmm.
not in years past. So that was a learning experience for those kids, and it's tough. It's tough, and everybody leads differently, right? So
Yeah.
it might not be tough for the quiet leader that is just, I'm just going to go out and do my thing, and everybody work as hard as me. But it's real tough on the guy that's,
More vocal.
this is what the coaches want. This is what we want as a team. And they're saying it, and they're saying it, and they're saying it. And it's like falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard. I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought we did a decent job with, telling them, like, hey, like, your leadership group is telling you this.
Yeah.
Disrespectful to ignore them, because they're telling you this, because we're telling them what we want to see. They're filtering that through their 13-year-old brain and bringing that to you guys in a way that you should be able to understand this. They bought into the team systems. Like, they're trying to get you to buy in, and they're not. Like, that's a whole different ball game from what these young leaders have had to deal with over the last few years. So
Yeah.
hey, we got there, but it could have been better.
Yeah.
Could have been better.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
nobody's
think
perfect, but yeah, I don't
next
know.
season. Next season.
Yeah. What what
Go ahead.
um what would you do differently by the end of the season? So we see the gap that um was created, and in my mind, it's like the guys that worked their asses off made huge strides in development.
Hmm.
The guys that worked medium made medium strides, and the guys that didn't work just didn't develop.
They faltered. Yeah, they fell
Yeah, is
off.
there something different that you think that we could have done that would have helped the guys that on the bottom end? Like I've kind of racked my brain on this. It's like,
So I think now, I think it's a hindsight question, right? Like looking back. So as I move into this coming season, the messaging is about, again, going back to that work ethic, but having that reference point to be able to go to some of those players that maybe didn't get, those important minute shifts, to be able to say, like, remember how you felt there? And that is because of your, like, that's a February feeling, a March feeling, that's based on a September mindset. And you can see it, right? So the ones in, I mean, we know exactly who we're talking about. There was what, 5 players early in the season that every time at dryland they just jerked around. And then, we had mid-season after dryland kind of wrapped up and we transitioned. Some of those players kind of locked in and were working more and they started to get better. Some players didn't lock in and they just kind of stayed level. So I think it's reminding of, hey, if you want those important February minutes, it's now. And I think that's experiential, right? I don't think we got to set some maybe short-term goals for some of those kids. So like, hey, if you're doing this thing this week and this week and this week, there's that small reward, whatever it is, and then building off of that. Because so many of them, they don't understand that. But like you and I, we've trained for years, been in the gym for years. We've both competed in bodybuilding. Like we know that, okay, the show season, my first show is going to be in June. So I'm starting to train for that. I'm preparing for that show starting probably like September or maybe even June. I finished my show. I remember when I competed, so I'd wrap a show November, December. I'd take 2, 3 weeks off to basically just gorge myself and be lazy. And then I was off season training, trying to but it started a few weeks after the last show ended.
yeah, people always like, oh, when did you start your diet? And it's like, well, you're asking me when I started losing weight for the show, and
Yeah.
that answer is 4 months. If you want to know when I started thinking about this show and prepping it, that was about 3 weeks after the last show, and that
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
7
exactly.
months ago.
Yeah.
So this has been on my mind, you know, and I guess that's the way I look at it. It's like the guys that have been here before are playing and practicing in October with the expectation and knowledge of how things are going to go
They
in
want big
February
minutes,
on how
February,
they'll,
March.
yeah, because I guess if you look at it, like the kids that didn't get it right away, and then some of the kids that maybe let it fall away at the end of the year, they're new to this, right?
Hmm.
Kids that do get it have been had this knocked into their brains for the last 4 years, and they've had the experience to get there. So
Yeah, I wonder if that plays into it too. Like some of those players, if we think back to what were they like 3, 4 years ago. Now, granted, they're 10 years old back then, but was it one of those things that was a slow build also? But I think that messaging needs to be right out of the gate because now I've had that lived experience of shortening the bench, playoffs. Like playoffs hit, we played to win, right? And
yeah,
that's just kind of how we rolled. and just send that message. Just so you know, it's September. Work hard now, because playoffs, we play to win. And if you're not skating with us, you might not be on the ice a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of fear mongering. I don't want to do that, but I think it's also outlining what's a clear expectation.
Yeah, I don't think it's fear mongering as much as it is just pointing out what's obvious to you and me
Yeah.
and some of the players that have been through it, like how you practice in October and November and December directly impacts how far you develop. And I'm telling you right now, there isn't a player on this team who is good enough, whose game is good enough in October to directly translate into winning in the end of February.
Yeah, I agree.
Not even the best players. So if you don't develop and everybody else does, you're probably doing yourself a disservice in terms of ice time come that time of year.
Yeah.
And then if you put that so then that's for the top player. The guy that's in the middle or at the bottom of that, you need to work just hard to maintain the spread that's currently there.
Yeah.
You need to go above and beyond that to get to where hopefully where you would want to be is
Bridge the gap.
the guy that's counted on at the end of the year. Like you've got to, I think they got to be realistic of where you are currently, where you need to be, and the type of jump it takes to get there, because the best player in September is going to probably work his ass off and be even better in February. I mean, if they're not, we have failed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the 12, 13, 14, 15 player, they need to realize that this guy's going to work that hard and going to get that much better. And I want to be like that guy. So like, I've got to make the jump to where he is now and then continue the jump to get to where he's going to be in February.
We talked about that through the season, right? Like, you can't be comfortable where you are, right? If you think someone's better than you, then it's working hard to catch them, right? Because there's somebody who's behind you who's working hard to catch you as well.
Yeah.
So trying to instill that, like you're
And
constantly trying
mindset,
to evolve,
right? Like
yeah.
that's a learned mindset. Like you don't just have that naturally. You pick that up from somewhere.
Yeah.
Along the way, or you don't.
But yeah, fair enough.
If you don't pick it up at 15, 16, 17, you're not a factor at that point because somebody else has.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
The one thing I will say this year that I did learn that I got from you was the communication with the parents.
Oh, really?
A couple of meetings right off the hop with the parents, and you're just very straightforward with how you ran that. There were, I'm going to say, a formal meeting compared to what I'm used to, like in terms of, hey, we're scheduling this and having an agenda with what you're going to talk to the parents about. And so that was something new to me. Most of the parent talks, aside from like the initial meeting of the year, the beginning of the year, right after tryouts, has always been just like casual.
Right.
And we had great parents and great teams. And the only time we had formal meetings was when we were addressing the one or two parents that would have an complaint on the year. Mm-hmm. Or about something, and then we would have like a private meeting with them. But I think back to some of the meetings we had right after tryouts, some of the meetings that you had at the beginning of the year. I think the dressing room meetings that we had with the parents were a good thing. It's definitely something I would incorporate going forward myself. So that was definitely something that I thought, oh, you do this really well. Like, you're keeping them in the loop without allowing them to attach themselves to the loop.
Yeah, but keeping them in the loop, but keeping them in line as well.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, we want your opinion, but like this is how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But we do want your opinion. It may or may not change what we do, but at least we know where you guys stand. So I thought that was good. I thought even like I can remember back to that meeting and some of the things the parents had questions on of how we're giving kids ice time and just being straightforward with, this is why somebody sits or this is why somebody is on the power play or that I
Hmm.
mean parents were asking for a power play at that time, some of them anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do remember that meeting and just being able to take a moment to explain like, hey, like this is my thought process. This is why I did that or we did that, and they can agree or disagree, but at least it's like, hey, next time you're in the stands and you're like, what is he doing? Now you know.
Yeah.
He told me this is why he's doing that.
That's
And I
it's
thought
kind
that
of
was
how.
good for the coaches both to feel comfortable, like, you're walking out into a sea of 25 parents and, good game, bad game. There's always something that you're like, oh, you
Yeah.
know, but at least they know. I think having those meetings was like, oh, well, you know, I may not agree with it, but like I know the thought process behind it. Or, yeah, I think that was good, not just for the parents, but for the coaches too, in terms of mentally, like, hey, everyone's on the same page kind of thing. That doesn't
Right.
happen with that formal meeting where that parent over there can not say a word, but three other parents can ask the questions
Yeah.
they've got on their mind as well, right?
Yeah, and for me, it really is about like you can totally disagree, and you'll know how like what my philosophy is and why I'm implementing a certain thing. Because I just kind of feel that it takes the wind out of the sails of the complaints, right? So they can, like you said, at least they know why the decision is being made, and they can disagree, but it's like, well, I guess that's what he's doing. Um, Yeah, we were really fortunate. I actually like this 2012 group overall has been really good. I remember being with the team before, it was really good. This year was really good. No drama. I didn't hear of, I mean, we had one issue in the stands that we addressed at a parent meeting. Um, but overall, I think the parent group was pretty good. I wasn't aware of many or any really grumblings in the background of people being unhappy with our performance, with certainly not with the culture that we were trying to kind of create in there. And even when we were in that big losing streak before Christmas, like I found the parents actually pretty supportive during that time. And normally my experience hasn't been that way. I've been on teams when you're in a losing streak and the parents are looking for blood. And
First
I
one to
didn't,
point out everything that you're doing wrong.
yeah, and I didn't find that this year. I thought it was a really good the whole group, the kids. We had some struggles, but overall was a really good group of kids. And then the parent group was a really good group as well. I think we were pretty lucky that way.
Yeah, we had good parents. We've had good parents for 5 years in a row.
Yeah. Yes, yes, please, please, please. Oh man. Have you got anything else that you want to go over?
Uh Not that I can think of here. Um Take a look at my notes here. Yeah, I mean, I think we had parents, key moments. Yeah, we touched on. I mean, as soon as I hang up, I'll think of 15 other things, but that's coaching.
That'll be we'll do another episode down the road.
Oh, I'm
Things
sure
it'll
there'll be
be
more
it'll be the
stuff.
things we missed episode or outtakes or something.
Yeah, part two recap of all the notes that I made.
Yeah.
I went back and watched the video, and I made some notes.
Oh, listen, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me. It's too bad we couldn't get everyone on, but I appreciate you for two reasons. One, yes, starting off the podcast and being a part of that, but more importantly, just taking the time and helping coach this year. I learned a ton from you. And yeah, just appreciate you kind of offering up some feedback today on what your experience has been like.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, both coaching and the podcast. I don't mind sharing my thoughts on most things, and I can see why some of our other staff were a little hesitant for their own reasons. But
We'll get them in for part 2.
yeah. If Trevor, I'm sure we'll just talk our ear off, but it's I think you can get too many guys on a podcast if you're trying to get people's opinions. One-on-one is a little bit easier to take the time to formulate what you want to say and maybe steer the topics a little bit too. So yeah, I mean, I think if you could get Trevor or Renee to come on and have a chat, that you probably get some good solid feedback out of those guys as well. Because I mean, throughout the year we've seen it, they've always got something to interject that helps the situation. So
yeah,
it was a lot of fun, and anytime I can come on and help, I'm happy to do it.
Beauty. All righty, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks, pal. Talk soon.
Thanks, man. I'll see you Saturday at the banquet.
That's right. Food day.
That's right.
I think Renee's got to bring the Timbits.
Yeah, I think it's his turn.
All right. Talk soon.
See you, man. Thanks. If you listened to this episode and thought about your own experience as a coach, a parent, or an athlete, that was the point. Because what happens on the ice, on the field, on the diamond, or on the pitch is never just about the game. It's about how athletes see themselves, how they respond to pressure, and how they grow through it. And as coaches, we play a bigger role in that than we sometimes realize. If you found this conversation helpful, share it with someone who's in that environment, a coach, a teammate, or a parent who cares about the development beyond the outer scoreboard. If you want to reach out, you can get me on Instagram at Paul Brown Coaching. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Paul Brown Coaching, or connect with me through my website, paulbrowncoaching.com. We'll be continuing these conversations here on the Inner Scoreboard. Thanks. We'll see you next time.